and it's going to be green light racing here at Monza. Here goes Noah. We're going to try and go wheel to wheel with the leader. Vic, once again, back on the top step. We did say take it easy. Oh my goodness. Sinead's going to go for it here into 14, 15. Side by side. Is it going to be Mercedes or is it going to be a BMW?
Hello everyone and welcome to the final round of the season here in the Phoenix World Challenge. Thank you very much for joining us. As you can see on your screen, don't forget to visit phoenixsimsport.co.uk. You'll be able to check out the shop and some brand new features coming very soon as well. Almost ready to release. We have the Hot Lap leaderboards, which will be your fastest laps will be recorded for all to see. So keep an eye out for that feature coming very soon. If you are in the market for some wonderful, wonderful sim racing gear, check out our affiliate, Asetek Sim Sports. We have a 5% discount if you use code Phoenix Simsport at the checkout. And I can highly recommend their gear. I personally use the Forte pedals, and they are an absolutely great asset to my sim racing rig. And as well, don't forget, we are now affiliated with the wonderful Track Titan. Track Titan is a wonderful app. If you have not used it yet, check out our link that we have at the very top of the server. If you need a hand finding out where it is, please don't be afraid to reach out. More than happy to help you there. It is an absolutely brilliant app. We have a 30% discount. 30% discount if you use our link, and you get a 30-day free trial as well. So you even get to test and see whether or not you're going to like it. But I can almost guarantee that you will. It is a brilliant tool, and maybe it will help someone find that little bit of peace to give Ferlinski a little bit of a challenge. And talking about that, we are now going to move over here in a moment, over to, if everything would move, there we go, wonderful, and superb, we seem to be working all right, and yeah, joining me today, we have a brand new person in the comm box. And I hope you will all give a very warm welcome to Anirban. Please introduce yourself.
Hi guys, Andrew. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It may be my first time in the commentary box, but I've been following this sport, motorsport, for so long, and very excited to be here. Introduce myself. Yeah, about me. So yeah, I am somewhat of a freelance Formula One journalist. I also cover a bit of NASCAR on the side. By profession, I'm a lawyer, but by passion, I think I'm a racing driver. And yeah, we're here at the last round of this championship, and it could not have been a better track to have it at. That could not.
For
Don't you agree,
sure.
Nandu?
I definitely have to agree with that. This is going to be an absolutely incredible challenge for the drivers here today. So yeah, thank you very much for joining us. It's yeah, going to be an exciting one today. Really looking forward to this. And yeah, we're about to get stuck into qualifying.
Yeah.
Sorry, a little technical hiccup there for a moment. It wasn't going full screen, but it wouldn't be a Maverick stream if there wasn't a technical hitch, as I'm sure all of our viewers know very well by now. There's always some kind of technical hitch. That's just my quirk, I suppose. There we go. That's the little thing that hooks you all in, isn't it? Uh,
Yep.
so, yeah, we are looking at the moment. We're on board with Arct, who is out there getting warmed up for a lap, just having left the pits. Um, the question is going to be for Linsky, can he get seven? No, sorry, not seven. 9 out of 10 wins of this season, or can someone stop him today? There's a couple of characters that are in there that could very well take the win today, and there is the possibility that Barry R could take the win away from Ferlinski. Are you familiar with Barry R, Anurbam?
I'm not familiar with him,
He's the
but
guy that
something.
stands.
Yeah, yeah.
He's the guy that stands at the side of the track and ruins people's races when they crash into him, and he's generally made of concrete. Uh,
Oh,
so-
yeah. I mean, Barry R is going to play a very important role,
yes,
at this track because as we know, the tarmac is narrow, and the margin for error is very very small.
it is, and that mountain up on the top of the hill is a particular challenge. It's really, really tricky to control a GT car up at the top of that hill, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, there is a common misconception that because GT cars have traction control and ABS and all sorts of electronic aids, that it makes it easy to drive them. But trust me, it's not as easy as it looks. And these drivers are doing, on their preparation lap. I think the biggest thing that they have to worry about is getting enough heat into the tires, but also not overdoing it, because this middle section of the track where all the twists and turns, I think it's very important to leave some life into the tires as well, but also ensure that there's a balance between the optimal tire temperature, because that would be key, I feel, in this qualifying session.
For sure, exactly. As we see Arct navigating his way, threading the needle, doing a good job so far. No
And the
times on the
BMW
board
looks so
just yet.
planted.
It
This
does. It really
it
does
looks
look
planted, yeah.
really solid. We're on board right now, and I'm almost nervous watching from his onboard. But yeah, Arc just seems to have everything really well set up here. He's plenty of confidence in the car. So let's see what kind of lap time he can set here. He's coming down the back straight now, coming down towards the kink and chicane. I really should have learned the corner names for here. Apologies if you're absolutely screaming corner names at me for this track. I've memorized Silverstone, and that's about the only track that really sticks in my head.
So Jules sets. Oh, Folinsky's gone to the top. A low 2 minutes, 2 seconds.
Wow. 2 minute 2.
That's a fast lap.
That is
That's a fast lap.
indeed. I suspect Ferlinski can probably get into the ones, but let's see what can be done. Arced with a 2:27. And interestingly here, we have got 3 different drivers have a purple sector. So Arced is actually the fastest in the first sector, Ferlinski fastest in the second sector, and Schulze is fastest in the third sector. So it could be anyone's game here today.
That is true. That is true. Do you think, Andrew, that that the balance of performance would play a role, given the different characteristics of the track in terms of the twisty sections, and then maybe a heavier car might have that disadvantage when it comes to the straights?
For sure, it can. It can have an influence if you've been practicing without any BOP. Then as soon as that BOP is applied, it's not necessarily like carrying more fuel. It'll be in a different location in the car, and it can change how the balance of the car feels between oversteer, understeer. So if you're going into this session unprepared, certainly it can completely upset all of that practice you've done. And so much of sim racing is all about that muscle memory. So it's one of those things that the drivers have to contend with. Whenever they're.
But I see something very interesting, on the timing sheets, because if you look at Arc, he said, as you said, he said the fastest first sector time, and I think that is purely, consisting of straights. The first sector,
Yeah.
or the majority of it. And having a BMW with a -7 kg handicap, I think that's what gave him, the uh, oh, but no, okay. As soon as I say
Yeah.
that, Felinski puts in the fastest first. Okay, I'm gonna eat my words. I'm gonna
Yeah,
eat my words.
we
I don't want to act like an expert.
we have to get used to this because Ferlinsky, as soon as you're about to say anything, generally comes along and proves it incorrect. So
Oh,
it's
that's a very
pretty
fast
standard.
lap.
It
That's
is.
two. That's 2 minute 1 second 0.5. That
Wow.
is a fast lap. That's blistering, man. That is
Still
blistering.
not quite there in that third sector, though. He's still 2/10ths
He
down on the
has
Lamborghini and
time on
one
the table.
tenth
Yeah.
down. So there's either a little bit of time left in there, or that McLaren is just not quite there when it comes to the top speed. So yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on for now.
And
Uh,
that's scary because if Felinski has some time left on the table, that
wow,
is scary for the other drivers
that
because
is.
whew, once he hooks it up, once he hooks that lap up,
And there is
this could
no
be
beating
over
him.
before it begins.
Exactly, exactly. So it's yep, going to be interesting. But Crossland on quite an improvement on his lap at the moment, 1.1 improvement at the moment. That's probably not going to gain a position, but
Yes.
it's a good improvement for now. Let's see what it's going to be across the line. It is a 203.7, so still P5 for the Mercedes driver,
Yeah.
but a good chunk of time taken off his lap.
I think, as the session goes on, I think we'll see drivers, shave that time off of the best time they've set, because I think something about Mount Panorama is the fact that, it's about building those laps. It's about building that rhythm. And I think the last lap that you put in a session is most probably going to be your fastest, because that's when you've probably hooked it up the most in terms of you and the car together on this track.
For sure, I would almost consider this like the way Monaco would be in Formula One. You don't go out and push as hard as you possibly can on the first lap.
Yes.
You know, you got to go out there, feel the conditions, and then build to your ultimate fastest lap for sure. So, yeah, I think the drivers are just getting a feel for it right now, and yeah, building to that perfect lap is a very good point. Pranzo then popping it in P3 at the moment with a 2.22.
That's a pretty handy lap for the McLaren, but as we've seen, the McLaren can go faster. So I think we can expect Franzo to, uh, bang in a faster lap time this time around.
Yeah, he's potentially got that little bit of pace. He's again beating Ferlinsky in that third sector. So there's pace in that McLaren car.
There's something that Franzo's figured out about the third sector that Felinski is yet to.
Yeah,
I'm interested to see what that is.
yeah, he's just hooked it up. Can
The
Ferlinsky
number
work out the
30 Ferrari
secret?
hasn't been out yet. That's
True.
not set a lap time yet. Is there some sort of an issue, or are they just waiting for the track to rubber in well? But I think
That
that would not be a very wise strategy
no,
given
exactly.
how this track is.
That is a good point, actually. Let's just check in case that is for a qualifying ban. It is. It is for the purposes of serving a qualifying ban. So we will not see
Okay.
car number 30 out on track here today as a result of gaining too many penalty points in the previous session.
I see. But that won't do them any favors in the race, because I think a good starting grid position, I think not necessarily pole, because there's a long straight where maybe P2 or P3 might have,
Yeah.
or might take advantage of the slipstream on lap one. But I think being up there is important to building the rhythm, because we
It
need
is.
clean air as well. At the end of the day, I think being at the bottom of the pack with so many incidents that can also happen, it can ruin the rhythm of the race
For
when
sure.
when we get to it.
You're just putting yourself at that extra risk. We do have a yellow flag at the moment. Looks like that has been cleared, so we're okay for now. Um, and this is quite a common occurrence at
Yeah.
Bathurst. We will see yellow flags on occasion. Let's see if there's another car we can observe for now. Let's go on board with Webby. So Webby, Ferlinsky's teammate, He has been doing really well for a lot of the season, but he seems to be struggling here at Bathurst. 3 seconds off his teammate. He's usually around about 1 second off the pace, so something about that McLaren just has not quite hooked up here. And the reigning team champion is not really getting up to pace at the
Yeah.
moment.
I mean, if we look at the timing, sheet, I think the biggest chunk that he's missing out as compared to his teammate is in the second sector. Whereas if you look at his first sector timings, I think
It is.
he's pretty competitive. So I
It
think
is.
it's again about not getting the rhythm or maybe not feeling that comfortable with the McLaren. I think the McLaren is fast, but I think it takes a bit more toll on the drivers. I think in terms of drivability, I guess, or handling.
Most definitely. It can feel up on that mountain, it can feel like driving on the knife edge. So, yep, if there is any kind of little bit of feeling in the car that's making Webby lose that little bit of confidence, that may very well be why he's losing time there. So, yeah, let's keep
Yeah.
an eye on car number 13 and see if he can improve on that lap time. He's already taken a 10th off in the first sector. So, yeah, let's see how he does up over the hill. So far, looking good.
Oh, there was a bit of a moment on the curb there.
Yeah, that's usually a curb you want to avoid. But so far, doing okay. Ah, I think he's just found the massive chunk of time because now he is 6/10
Yeah.
up on his lap time. So you may very well be right that it was just that confidence in the second part of that mountain on the way down the hill. We've got
Exactly.
just less than 2 minutes left in this qualifying session. So the drivers should be finishing up on their laps.
Do you think there's one more push lap left on the
Yeah,
grid?
definitely. There'll be a couple of drivers that'll be able to get one more push lap. I think Webby will certainly go for one more. A lot of the times, the McLaren, you want to go for a banker lap and then a push lap. Exactly because of the reason you mentioned earlier. You want to get the car up to temperature, get it built up, get a good feeling for the car, and then you push flat out. And right now,
Yeah.
it's the end of qualifying. There's nothing left to lose. You just got to go for it.
Exactly.
So definitely we're going to see Webby absolutely push it to the limit here. He does improve to a 204.2. There might be a little bit more in the tank for him.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
But if you look at I don't know the top three right now, they're separated by what, like less than 4/10 of a second, and that's a very bunched up and competitive sharp end of the field.
Very much so. This could be very good news for the race because Schultz and Arkt, they actually have a little bit of time in the tank. I can see their delta is green, and in fact, Arkt might be challenging for pole here. Let's switch over to Arkt.
And something that makes it so much more interesting is the fact that we have three different manufacturers up there. There's a McLaren, a Lamborghini, and a BMW. So that's good news for the race as well.
For sure. That's the massive benefit of using custom BOP. You get a really good spread of cars. So definitely it's very, very good to see. Each car will have its little different strength at certain parts of the circuit. So yeah. We are in for an absolutely electric race here today. Ark looks like he's not going to improve on his lap after all. Schultze, though, doing a good job through Sector 1, is already 2/10 up on his lap. So could challenge for pole here if he can find another 10th.
And Schultz is using each and every part of the track, and that is what you need to do here. You need to maximize. Oh, look at that! Beautiful. Beautiful.
I think that was a little touch on the wall, even. But he seems to have got away with it. But yeah, he's using every millimeter here. It's just beautiful to watch, isn't it?
It's mesmerizing, And this track does that. It rewards the drivers, who want to flirt with the barriers.
Exactly, the barriers, exactly. Exactly. And that is what Schultz is doing right now. And he is being rewarded. He's up a tenth and a half. It's not quite enough for
this is going to
pole
be
right now.
close.
It's going to be really
But it
close.
might be close. Yes. I'm at the edge of my seat right now.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait to see what this lap brings for him.
We're about to find out. Coming down into the hairpin, brake as late as you possibly can. Float the car in.
Oh, beautiful line.
Oh,
Beautiful line.
wonderful. He's found extra time.
He goes a bit wide. He goes a
This
bit
could be
wide.
close. Into the final corner. How much is he going to take out of this lap? Oh, he's on the grass. But it hasn't affected
just a
him
test.
much. Wow. Oh, that was so close. A 201.792. So it wasn't quite enough to be able to get pole, but enough to challenge for it. And you know what? That is going to make this race.
I think he pushed it a bit too hard in the final sector. He went off onto the grass a few times.
I think so.
But come on,
I think
let's give Ferlinski the credit he deserves. I mean that lap.
Wow.
1.5. I mean he said it at the beginning of the session.
Yeah.
And even with the track rubbering down, I don't think anyone could even come close to it.
Yeah.
So that's a brilliant lap. A well-deserved pole.
For sure. So absolutely brilliant job there. Schultz still holds on to the purple final sector. So that could be interesting going into the race if he's able to hold on to that little advantage. Voller, car number 12, popping it in last minute there into P3. So going to be able to challenge for the podium places today. The Lamborghinis of car number 5 and 12 teammates here. So they're looking to score some good points in the team's championship while the champions are wrapped up. The other positions are still up for grabs. Arced, good to see you back on the track, buddy. Car number 88 in P4. Pranzo in P5. Looking to potentially challenge for a podium place today. Let's see how he can get on. Webby a little bit off pace, but we know that in the race he can pick up a little bit. So let's see how he does there today. Crossland P7, Spinner P8, Fuller P9, Koenig in P10, Darkness P11, and Ruiz for now is going to be starting at P12. You can see there, car number 12, Oliver Flynn, a last-minute entry as well. So hopefully we will see him on track as well. And there we go. We do have a little bit of time before the start of the session. So we have a 5-minute setup window for the drivers to make any changes. So this is where if they felt anything in the car that they didn't quite like in qualifying, they can make a couple of tweaks.
Do you think, Andrew, that drivers would want to risk doing that? I mean, even during qualifying, if you're not feeling it,
if they're
doing,
yeah, that's a very good question. If they're, doing some major setup changes, that could very well put you completely in a position where you just don't know what the car is going to do. It depends, I suppose, if they've done any practice with a quali and a race setup. But yeah, you want to do as minimum changes as possible. You really want to have your car set up and ready to go before the start of quali and make no changes. So
exactly.
Yep. Hopefully there's no one struggling too much with anything in the car, and we can just get stuck into a wonderful race here today.
I can't wait for the race to start, because something that I was going to point out was that if you look at the top five in qualifying was separated by just 0.6 of a second. I mean, that is a very competitive top 5. And if they're gonna, jostle for positions on the first or second lap, I think it's gonna be an exciting race that's gonna unfold up for us.
It is indeed. Looking forward to this. And we have a couple of minutes left to go. We can see cars being dropped on or off their jacks rather. Now, because this is a 2-hour race, it is unlikely the tires will go the entire race, so I imagine everyone will probably change tires. But what do you think they're going to do with fuel? Again, they're going to have to pit for fuel at some point. But do you fill the tank and go long, or do you try to maybe underfuel a little and gain a little bit of advantage on other drivers?
I think if it was me, I'd go with the strategy of, fueling myself up, a full tank and going long because I think even though that they're going to be pit stops, and I think that it would be better to have a lighter car towards the end of the race on fresher tires than a more relatively heavier car maybe that is towards the end of the race. I think that old adage still stands. I think the race will be won not in the first few laps or corners or the first half. I think it's going to be a very tight last half an hour. I guess that is it. I think.
Definitely, I would tend to agree with that. The overcut tends to be quite a popular strategic option within Asetek
Hmm.
Corsa Competizione, and I think especially here in Bathurst, I would tend to agree that I think the best way to beat your opponent is to go longer, to try and
Hmm.
get some free air when they're in the pits, and set those quicker laps while they're building up their tire temperature from
Hmm.
new tires, and then when you pit, hopefully you come out in front of them and you're on you have a lighter car with brand new tires. So yeah, that
Exactly.
seems to be quite a um, popular option that works well. But yeah, it's up to the drivers. We're going to see pit stops anywhere
Hmm.
from around about probably 45 minutes into the race, around about
Yeah.
to about 45 minutes from the end. These cars can run just over an hour on a full tank of fuel. So
Do you think anyone's going to be brave enough to try a cheeky two stopper,
I
or do you
think
think
that
that's
that generally seems to be quite unlikely. It's generally not the fastest, even with a 2 hour race. I think we could very well see people stopping unscheduled for damage,
Hmm.
but a scheduled two stopper, I think personally that is not going to be the fastest way.
Hmm.
Someone might surprise me. There generally always is a surprise whenever I try to make a strategic decision. Someone always makes a different, makes some weird strategy work. Uh, but yeah, generally, the pit stops are just so long in GT racing that it is difficult to make a two stop work. So yeah, let's keep an
Exactly.
eye
Yeah. Yeah.
on if anyone does decide to make an extra pit stop, because definitely that would be really interesting. The car would be really very light, and they're going to be setting the timing sheets alight with their lap times. So that could be a very interesting call if they do make it. But here we go. Uh, we are about to get underway for the formation lap as Ferlinsky then leads us away for the final time in this season. And what a season it has been. It's been a season of record breaking for Mr. Ferlinsky, winning his fourth title here out of 13 seasons in Phoenix Sim Sport. Which is absolutely phenomenal, especially over 3 different disciplines as well, with a Formula One title, a rally title, and now 2 GT titles. Just an absolutely incredibly adaptive driver, and we're going to see that skill all over here again today. But can Schulze and Volter challenge him today? He doesn't seem quite as dominant in qualifying as we have seen through the season. So is he maybe just relaxing now that the championship is all wrapped up, or is he just leaving a little bit in the tank because he knows this is going to be a really hard slog? There's only one way to find out, and that is to watch us here. In the meantime, while the drivers are going around for their laps, we are going to take a look once again And I've hit the wrong button. Once again, technical issues, eh? Am I right? Okay, so thank you for coming back. We've got quite a good number on stream. Welcome, everyone. I hope you're all looking forward to this today. Please, sorry, Tommy. For some reason, it has put stars in whatever you've said there. If you could say the car number for who you want to take a look at, and definitely we will go on board with them at some point during the race. And hi, Doce, as well. Absolute pleasure to have you here. And if I remember right, you are a car 711 fan, Mr. Pranzo, who is looking for a good result here today. In there in P4, he's got two teammates ahead who will not make it easy for him, but it can be all to play for here at Old Bathurst.
Berlinski's picking his moment to hit the gas pedal.
Yep, exactly.
Schul is getting a bit impatient, isn't he?
He is. He's getting really up close there. He just
getting
wants to
racy.
get this underway. Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. That's close.
That's what we want to see.
But I think Berlinski's going to keep the inside line into turn 1. And when does he hit the gas pedal?
There we go.
And there we go.
It is green. And we are underway. This is going to be really exciting. Verlinski does hold on to P1 into turn 1. And it looks like...
Oh, so side by side.
Yeah.
Schulz and Berlinski side by side.
Oh, this is going to be interesting. This is going to be a drag race down into turn 2. Schulze could very well get down the inside of Verlinski and take the lead. He does! Breaks leader!
He does!
Car number 5 into the lead of this race early on, and his teammate's going to follow through as well, actually. So, Verlinski actually out of position as a result of car number 5 going down the inside. Verlinski down to P3. But
he's fighting back, he's fighting back.
Yeah, he gets good drive out of the corner.
But I think this section of the track is not a place to try something.
No, definitely not. You gotta
back,
just follow through. So for now, he's got to just be absolutely hating that dirty air. Whoa!
There's a slide, there's a slide. Oh, dirty air already acting up, I think. Or maybe cold tire.
Yeah. So that was interesting. Oh, Crossland in the background. Something happening there. Let's go back a couple of seconds. 15 seconds back. Let's see what happened. Oh, sorry. It wasn't. Oh, it was Crossland. We were on darkness. I messed up the replay. Anyway, Crossland having a bit of an incident there. At the top of the hill. Hopefully not much damage, and he can get back in this race.
I think it's just about, taking too much of the curb, cold tires, never helps.
Yeah, and that coming up over the rise is such a particularly tricky challenge for the drivers. It's so easy to just snatch the rear brakes, and the car will just do a pirouette. So, yeah.
There's an incident. Crossland goes off.
Oh.
And there was an incident ahead of him as well with, I think, Darkness and Fuller, if I'm not wrong.
Oh, right. Let's go back 30 seconds then, and we'll get a bit of a replay with that. Go on passenger. So, Crossland coming down the back straight, looking to recover. Oh, just breaks a little bit too late as we see Ruiz and Darkness there over on the left-hand side rather. So car number 30 looked like they got spun out too, and is down in P12. So Crossland and Ruiz are going to be fighting over that P11 and P12 for now. And Pranzo at some point lost position during those first couple of laps, is right on the rear wing of Webby coming up over the hill. These guys both have the same car, so this is going to be an interesting challenge.
Franzo touched the ball, I think, there. Andrew.
Yeah. I wonder.
Yeah, I think they're struggling in the beginning part of this race. I think it's again. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I think there's not enough tire temperature.
Yeah, and is he pushing too hard too early? That can be a little bit of a problem, and very tempting to do whenever you're close to a car. You can be really tempted to push too hard too early, and you just ruin everything about your tires, and you know, maybe you touch the wall, you get a little bit of damage, and that hurts your performance for the rest of this. So it just kind of snowballs. So yeah, let's keep an eye on Pranzo for the rest of this stint. 0.4 of a second still behind Webby, so he is that little bit quicker than the car ahead.
But I think Webby is now getting into the rhythm that we were discussing about with the McLaren. I think, now he feels a bit more at one with the car. It seems a bit more planted, and he seems to have a bit more confidence under braking now. He's able to keep that gap to Pranzo.
Yep, that was a good last lap. In fact, they matched each other. That's a good point. So, yeah, he's building that confidence, and it's something that we see. Webby takes a couple of laps to really get in the zone, and now he's got a little bit of free air, and he can really focus on getting into that rhythm. Yep, exactly. And now that gap is now extending out a little, which is going to take that little bit of pressure off. The next closest driver then is Spinner. Spinner right on the rear wing of Fuller going up towards the mountain. He looked like he wanted to make a move, but that would have been very brave indeed. He's going to have to be a little bit patient. Let's go on board with Spinner, see what it looks like following so close behind this McLaren. And now coming back down the hill.
He's pushing. Oh, he touches the wall again.
Oh.
You need to avoid that. You can't do that for your own race.
All about making the balance between pushing the limits and not touching that wall. But look how close he is now. He's right in the slipstream.
And he pulls out to the left. The drag race now.
And the Ferrari's got the legs. Oh, a little flash from Fuller. Oh. Can Fuller fight back? Not quite. So, oh no, Pranzo! We saw there Pranzo facing the wrong way. Let's go 30 seconds back here. I wonder, was there some kind of incident? He's following Webby. He's getting very close. Brakes very late down the inside. He touches the curb. And yeah, it was much too late. And up on the grass for Pranzo. So down to P9 now for the McLaren. And it's all going to be about trying to recover as best he can. And now Koenig is the driver putting Webby under pressure at the moment. Koenig at the moment looking like a second quicker than the car in front, although part of that may have been that interaction between Webby and Pranzo there. Webby wasn't quite able to take the corner as he would have liked.
I mean, it's still early days for Pranzo, but again, this is what you should not do at the start of a race, because then you set yourself up for failure, and then it's a painful 2 hours then,
Definitely.
1 hour 52 minutes now for Pranzo. And there is a very interesting battle that is shaping out for the lead. Schulze and Voller. And Voller seems to be very, very quick.
And this is going to be interesting. Do you think there's going to be team orders here today? These guys are racing, to try and get as many points as they can in the team's championship. What do they do?
If you ask me right now, there should be team orders, maintain position. And then when we get to, towards the end of the race, maybe, and then maybe you can race a position. I think
Definitely.
early on you need to keep the team's objectives. You need to put the team above yourself.
For sure, for sure. These guys look like they're not doing that, though. They're going full racing, and at least for us, that is entertaining. That is great. Car number 12 does go for the move down the inside at turn 1, and car number 12 takes the lead of this race. F. Voller then up.
And this little battle between them has gone for Linsky right into the mix as well.
And that
so
is
they've lost time for themselves as well.
Yeah, that is exactly why. As a team, you should be working together, because now they have just brought Ferlinski back into this battle, which is interesting for us.
This is amazing.
Oh,
this is
yeah.
amazing.
This is going to be very, very spicy indeed. And oh my goodness, Ferlinski was almost ending up a passenger in that Lamborghini there. But Ferlinski is a very good driver. He knows exactly where to push the limits.
Now, something that I've noticed right away in this league is that there is some amazing amount of hard racing,
Definitely.
and that's very good, I feel.
It is. It is. You know, the guys, they really know how to push the limits and really race hard against each other, but fair. And it's
Exactly.
something that you
That's very
know
important.
it makes you know, being in here in the comm box it's an absolute joy because we get to watch some absolutely awesome events. So definitely, I think all of the drivers, and I'm sure all of our viewers as well, you know, have got to be really, really proud of how well the guys conduct themselves on track. So yeah, it's a credit to absolutely all of them, and hopefully we're going to see an awful lot more of that hard battling for the rest of this race. Car number 70 certainly. Oh, in fact, car 5 and car 12 battling once again. Car 5 got an absolute launch. Ooh.
Think about the team.
Oh, they just handed the lead to Verlinsky, I think, here. He's going to have the inside. Breaks late. Sends it down the inside, and he's got it. They have. So.
And now it's become a four-way fight just because the two teammates squabbling.
Let's take
I'm
a
not sure
look.
the team's gonna like it, but I love this.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Let's take a look at that again. I'm not sure what happened into the last turn. It looked like car number 12 was just slowing to let 5 past, but
he lost it there. He lost it there.
Balled it. Yeah, really interesting. But yeah, then that's just handed for Linsky the lead, and just on the exit of turn 1. Little bit of a tap, but just again, good hard racing. And car number 5 and 12 are then going to battle all the way down the straight. But yeah, now for Linsky.
Unfortunate racing incident, you know, when he lost the rear end there. But
for sure.
Again, guys, come on, think about the team.
Wow. Now they've got. Oh, Ferlinsky might be handing it back though. Wow. So a little bit of a wobble coming up over the top of the hill. I think he touched the curb, and that curb just unsettles the car, and it was just enough then to allow car number 12 past. Do you remember when we said it was impossible to overtake on the mountain? Well, not for Mr. Voller. Car number 12 makes an overtake on the mountain. He's showing us that it is certainly possible. Wonderful stuff.
And you know, circling back to that curve, I think it's because these GTC cars are run so low, and I think that particular curve, you know, like you said, it just tends to unsettle the car so much. I think it's a setup thing as well. I think a lot of them are running, I think, the stiffer suspension here. But I think, you know, you can't sacrifice the performance for just one curve. But I think you could be
no, exactly
doing much.
That curb is just so weird. It's such a high curb on such a high speed exit. You know, it's just...
and even the camber, you know, of that corner, like the camber of the corner. Anyways, it's going to unsettle that car.
Exactly.
And then you put the curb into the equation. I think, yeah.
Oh.
I'm gonna look out for. What's happened to?
He has pitted. Car number 5 has pitted. I wonder, is this going to be a it's got to be a 2-stop. There's no way he's going to be able to take enough fuel to be able
Exactly.
to last until the end of the race. So Schulze then is committing himself, as is Pranzo. Pranzo also committing to a 2-stop race as well. So these guys, I wonder, is
Yeah,
that
these
to
guys
fix
want to attack in
damage?
the last 45 minutes, I think. But I don't think
Yeah,
there could be
yeah.
damage, no? There was no damage, I think.
Yeah, so I wonder, is it just they want to get out of the position that they're in, get into free air, and just do
Mm.
qualifying laps, qualifying lap, qualifying lap, qualifying lap, and try to really, use that advantage of the clean air to the best. Oh no, no, Ferlinski, Ferlinski
Oh,
has crashed. Oh, we're going to have to go back
oh my word.
60 seconds here to see what happened. Uh, something happened. Um, we don't. I'm not quite sure what was going on. We can't quite see Ferlinski's POV anymore, unfortunately, on the replay. All we can see is Arc's POV. And yeah, we can't quite see
That's
what has
unfortunate.
happened to him. Unfortunately, yeah. I wonder. Oh, it's at the top of the hill. Yeah,
Oh,
something has happened, and Ferlinski has spun out for some reason, and I think it's a retirement. I don't see him on the list anywhere. So yeah, it looks
yes,
like
Andrew,
then
I think, yeah, I think it's done. I think the race is done for him, and that's unfortunate.
it is. It is
But the
because
Lamborghini did look very twitchy, as we've
yeah,
seen.
I wonder, did he
Yeah,
make a change or something? And like we were talking about, that is just gonna make the car unpredictable for him, and something has happened, and
exactly. Yeah.
it's just thrown the car.
Because in qualifying, division qualifying, he was looking pretty well sorted, and that car
Yeah,
was looking very, very planted. And suddenly, we come into the race, and that Lamborghini's rear end was not complying at all with him.
yeah, yep.
No, agreeing with him. Yeah,
So
there must be some change that he must have made before the race started to find that extra tenth, maybe because he knew how close the pack was in the top five. I think that was playing on in his mind, and I think he took that gamble a bit too far, I guess. Then, but that's unfortunate. That is unfortunate.
it is indeed. So we are going to have a different winner today, at least. Um, Absolutely none of the drivers on track today have won yet this season, so we are going to see a different winner today. But the question is, who is it going to be? Voller definitely in the control of this session at the moment. He's doing 203 flats with Arced in behind doing a 204.5. So he's a little bit off pace. Yeah, so Sinead then confirming horrible car. Yeah, Sinead, was it a setup change? Or just the setup just wasn't quite working today? Yeah, otherwise, gutted to see you leave the session. That was going to be a spicy battle there for the win of this race. Webby, just McLaren things. Yeah, just McLaren things. Yep, that is unfortunate. Art might actually be within a shot here. He's a little slower than Voller, but at a reasonable pace. So let's keep an eye on how Art gets on. We
Exactly.
add
Oh,
fuel.
yeah, high fuel. Yeah, high fuel
Yep,
problems then. Yeah,
yep, yep,
the
yep,
balance.
yep. In qualifying, the car can feel absolutely beautiful, and then yep, you take a full tank of fuel, which you really have to do here, and it completely changes how the car feels. Interesting. Yeah, well,
Chinay, how much was that curb at the top of the hill bothering you? Was it just because of a balance issue because of the high fuel, or is it something you've been battling with throughout these sessions? Ah, right. Yeah.
Just the balance. Yeah.
Yeah. Thought as much. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Sinead. And unlucky. Couldn't take this corner without spinning. Yep, yep. Um,
Yeah.
it
Every
just,
lap we could see that, no, Andrew?
yeah,
That was
it
that
just
was that was
did
a tough
not
one.
look like the car was complying at all. Yep. Whereas compare that
Yeah.
to we've been watching the BMW here for the last couple of laps, and it just seems glued to the track. That thing just looks completely planted for the number 88, and he's just gliding along at the moment.
Yeah, and like we were discussing, like in real life, this BMW package is really a good one, as we saw
It
at Daytona.
is. It is.
They've gotten something right in terms of I
Yeah,
think the biggest difference between the McLaren and the Lamborghini and the BMW, I think, is just that there's not much that you can do to upset the balance of this car. I think it's a very well planted and a very well optimized car for tracks like these with like changing cambers, high curbs.
it does really seem to be. It's a popular choice as well for drivers
Mm,
starting out. I think for that reason, because you're right, it just has a lot of compliance over curbs, and it's difficult to upset the car, which makes it very useful for beginners. Whereas, yeah, the McLaren, it's just so sensitive to absolutely
mm.
everything on circuit. And yeah, the Lambo, as Sinead says as well, the Lambo is a beautiful car. Again, yeah, it's so well done as well. Um, and I wonder, are we going to see the amazing Sinead return to the Lamborghini next season? There's only one way to find out, and that is to join us for season 13. But we don't need to worry about that right now. We need to worry about the ending of season 12. And on that, Crossland is chasing down car number 30, Ruiz, ahead.
I think Crossland and Reyes were involved in that incident in the beginning, so I think they haven't just sorted themselves out as well. I think what's their pace? What's the pace, Andrew? Are they able to
Yeah,
um,
so at the
think
minute,
about it?
Crossland setting 206.7s and Ruiz setting 207.3s. So at the minute, Ruiz is a little bit off pace, but as well as that, Crossland is out of position as a result of boxing earlier. As we can see if we show the timing screen, Schulze, Pranzo, and Crossland have all served their mandatory pit stop. Now they will have to
Hmm.
stop again because there's no way they'll get to the end on this tank of fuel. But it does mean that they are out of the usual cycle. So while
That's
Crossland
true.
is going to be battling Ruiz here, really Ruiz still does need to make a pit stop at some point in the race.
And I think that's the thing, right? Because the last thing that Crossland now wants is to be stuck behind a car that has not pitted yet, is giving
Yeah.
off the dirty air, and is taking away, from taking that pace away. I think it's crucial for Crossland to get past Ruiz at least, because I think Franzo's also pitted, so I think they are on the same cycle.
Yeah, so it's that's the tricky thing about Bathurst. You gotta get past at these
Yeah,
crucial moments, but at the same time, the mountain is so difficult to do so. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to
yeah.
see how Crossland deals with this particular challenge. He really does need to find a way to get past here. Maybe it's just got to be a super aggressive move somewhere where car number 30 doesn't expect it. But for now, he's
Yeah.
looking a little bit too far back uh, to be able to
Because
throw
if
it
his
down the inside
idea
somewhere.
for that pit stop, and part of the strategy was, as we discussed, it was to get into
Oh,
clean air and then do qualifying lap. There's a yellow
sorry.
flag.
Sorry, yeah, just to cut across you there. Yellow flag from Art.
Number
Um,
88. Yes,
number 88, who was in P2, slides off
spun
track.
out.
Yeah, we didn't quite catch the start of that in
Was
the
the spin or
replay.
the slide? Yeah. Oh.
That's really
Unfortunate again.
unfortunate for the BM. And we were just talking about how good the BM
Yeah.
is with handling, and yeah, just unfortunately something catching arced out there,
Yeah.
and he is now down
But I think it's a credit to
to
the drivers as well because even though the
yeah.
BMW is such a planted car, I think all the drivers here are pushing these cars to the absolute limit. And I think that's where you find sometimes that you go over the limit.
Yep,
But it's a credit to them because they're
for sure.
giving it everything.
Exactly.
Crossland still stuck behind the Ferrari. And like I was saying, if I think as we were discussing, one of the reasons why they took an early pit stop was because they wanted clean air and they wanted to do qualifying laps. And I think this is, becoming a bit counterproductive if that was the plan, because it's not happening anymore.
Yep, because he's right back in traffic. So, yep, that
Yeah.
plan is being snookered right now. So, yeah, that's
And
why
it was always going to be a gamble, on a track
it
like
is.
Bathurst, where
It is.
it's a bit difficult to overtake. I think it was always going to be a gamble of coming back into traffic at some point of time.
Definitely. I think those kind of strategies are worth it at the likes of Paul Ricard because it's going to be considerably easier to overtake.
Yes.
It's just such a wide sweeping track with big long straights. You can get past whenever you need to at those critical moments. But yeah, Bathurst is always going to be that extra risk for sure.
And it would really be frustrating for Croston because first having that incident and then trying to, rectify that situation by, making a strategic decision. And now again, just being stuck behind that Ferrari lap after lap after lap. It must really be frustrating. But in
Nice.
a way, correct me if I'm wrong, Pranzo has already pitted, right?
Let's just check the times. Pranzo has.
Because he's
So
not pulling away either, He's not pulling
yeah.
away either.
So let's
And
just
that's
go on board
concerning.
with Pranzo, and let's see what kind of lap times. So Pranzo doing at the moment in the 04s.
Oh, so
So
no, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That's a more representative lap then, yeah.
only just
Yeah,
pulling away. But you're right. It should potentially be down there in around about the threes. Based
exactly.
on quali pace. So yeah, it's interesting how Pranzo isn't just absolutely lighting up the timing sheets. But yeah, let's see. Let's keep an eye. For now, he's in there in P7, trying to chase down Schultz ahead. Oh, Crossland getting very close to Ruiz ahead. 0.2 of a second.
There's a lot of damage on the number 970 McLaren, as I could just say, a lot of damage
Yeah, I
on
wonder
the right hand side.
is that maybe what is the cork in the bottle here?
Exactly. I think that is what's stopping both the Ferrari and Croston from pulling away.
Oh,
Oh, there was a
Crossland.
touch. There was a touch. Yeah.
Yeah, getting very close to that wall. Well,
I
touching that
think
wall.
I think I think it's that frustration, That's what
Yeah,
that's why I feel that's building up with him. But I think he needs to keep his head. He needs to keep a cool head because it's not going to do him any favors, if he keeps losing it into the barrier.
no, exactly. He's got to use the aggression at the right time, which I think he's
Oh
done.
yeah, yeah. Ooh,
Super late braking into the
beautiful
chicane.
move back there. Does he get the
Wow.
inside line? Yep, he gets the inside line.
Oh, beautiful move. Let's take a look at that once again in replay. And we haven't gone back far enough, but what a beautiful move there from Crossland to get ahead of car number 30. And he can start making progress now back through the field and use those fresh tires and that low fuel. Arced also now right on the bumper of Koenig ahead. Koenig, I
This
think.
is going to be an interesting battle. BMW versus BMW.
This
Two cars
is
that we've
going.
seen today that
Yeah,
are
it's
they have
gonna
the
be
pace.
interesting. Oh, this car just looks so nice up at the top of the hill.
Yeah.
Oh, Koenig going a little wide though. So Arc potentially smelling a little blood in the water.
I mean, this car is so well balanced. You know, from the
It's
onboard, you can see just how well balanced the car is.
just looks beautiful. The car just does whatever the driver wants it to do. A little flash from Arc just to let Koenig know that he's there. Ooh, interesting. Schulze shedding the fastest lap of the race. Now setting a 202.4. And
Art goes for the move. Goes for the move. Goes for the move.
Arc does it. And Koenig doesn't fight back, so I wonder, does Koenig just know he's happy just relaxing, taking
Yeah.
holding on to P3. Be a good result for Koenig in this race. And based on the timing sheets, Arc is just that considerably bit quicker than the other BMWs, so
Yeah.
Koenig maybe just playing the long game here. 90 minutes left to go, 30 minutes done in this race. We still hopefully have plenty of battling left to go here. Ruiz, interestingly, is still holding on to the bumper of Crossland. So Crossland is not getting away as quick as we thought he would. There is another yellow flag. It looks like, I think it was for car 711. So Pranzo's going a little slow. But looks like they're back up to pace now. Webby absolutely hounding him though, looking to try and unlap himself. Oh, Crossland getting very close to that wall once again, near nearly tail whipping it as he came out of the last corner onto the straight. Again, I think, yeah, just that frustration just starting to come through on car 76. But he's just got to keep the cool head, relax, and stay in that rhythm and make a move when he can.
I think everyone's settling into a rhythm now. I think, it's going to be now trying to maximize their stint as we move into. I think we should see a few pit stops in the next 10, 15 minutes from like the regular pit strategy of a one stopper, I guess.
Yep, we'll start to see those scheduled ones come in for sure. And then that's where it's going to mix things up once again. And it'll be interesting to see where car number 5 here shakes out once the pit stops are completed. He's currently 2 minutes off the lead, so that is a long way. I think a lot
Yeah.
of the reason for his pit stop earlier was for um, damage, because being 2 minutes off the lead, that's yeah, probably a little bit of damage in there, which took a little bit more time on his pit stop. So he's got a lot of time to make up here, but he's got a lot of free air as well to be able to drive through. So we'll see how far Mr. Schulze can get through. Interestingly, Koenig is in the pits. So from P3, the BMW driver pitting with 1 hour 26 minutes left to go. And that's going to be very tricky to get to the end on a full tank of fuel. He might just
I
be
was
able
just
to
gonna
make
ask you
it.
that. Yep.
Yeah.
Do you
Right.
think? Do you think that there's enough in the tank if it's full tank to go 1 hour
Maybe
25 minutes?
maybe if he fuel saves, but then that might be too slow, so it might be better to just do a bit of a splash and dash. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what he chooses to do.
I think personally, I feel this is too early for a one stopper. I think this would be a two stop strategy somehow. Has to be.
I think you're right.
I can't see them. Yeah, because I can't see him going um, all the way at this point, at least.
Yeah, I think you're right. And yeah, we're going to have to keep an eye on that. It's going to be tricky. And there might be a lot of damage repair as well, because he's sitting in the pits for quite a long time. But there we go, car is dropped. Schulze then does make up a position on Koenig. So it's going to be interesting to see then if Koenig does need to make another pit stop. Darkness, car 724, up to P4. Doing quite well in this race at the moment. Let's take a look at the timing sheets. So Koenig, that is not quite right on the timing sheets. Schulze is actually the lead driver that has
There it is.
served a... Yep, just updated, just as I said that. Schulze is now the lead driver out of those that have pitted. Then Koenig is in P6, the second driver out of those that have already pitted. Then Pranzo, then Crossland, and then everyone behind still needs to make their mandatory pit stop. So we'll see how they get on. I think Spinner is now in the pits. He is. So Spinner then. Oh, something strange happened to the camera, but either way, looks like we are back to normal, and something strange is happening to Webby, who seems to be warping into every single wall. I think we've got a little bit of a connection problem there. I wonder, is Webby suffering from anything, and that's why he's so far down the grid right now? Or did he have a major incident? I don't think we caught that at any point if Webby got involved in anything. So it's tricky to know for sure.
He seems to be suffering from a lot of understeer from that angle. Car doesn't seem to turn in that well. Yeah.
I wonder, has he gone the opposite direction to the way that Shanae went in his setup? And yeah, Webby has maybe tried to gain a lot of confidence by reducing oversteer, but unfortunately has induced then a lot of understeer. Yeah, it just doesn't seem quite as compliant as the cars around. So
Yeah, I think the McLaren is
struggling.
turning out to be a tricky car to get a handle of.
It's a strange old beast. Oh, and then it wouldn't turn for him in the final corner, and then it all of a sudden did turn. And yeah, a bit of a power slide out of the final corner. But at the end of the day, he's still keeping on track, and he's still scoring points here today. So, and that's what it's all about. It's still.
I think the handling of this car, like it floated back to, I think, if I'm not wrong, was it the 2014 Ferrari Formula One car for Alonso? But it
Yeah.
was just understeering and oversteering, mid corner, and like a snap oversteer at the exit.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a very tricky car to tame, I guess.
It is for sure. Ooh, and that looked very wide.
Again, I
So
think there was a touch. There was like he slammed it into the barrier, I guess. Yeah,
yeah. So could have taken a big chunk of damage there.
yeah,
Hopefully
definitely,
he can
definitely.
keep it going though. Webby's still battling for positions in this championship, and yeah, it just does not look like that
Again,
car.
runs wide.
Yeah, it just is not doing what he wants it to do. It looks like such a tricky car to drive here today. Uh, on the other hand, though, Schulze absolutely loving life at the minute, setting 203 flat at the moment, and currently has the fast lap of the session. So Schulze
Yeah,
doing a
a
good
mid
job.
2 minute 3 seconds is not bad. It's not bad. It's
Yeah,
obviously not where like he would want more pace out of the car, but I think
for
maybe he's
sure.
going for the long game now.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
then maybe
not
what he'll
trying
do,
anything too risky. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, maybe what he'll do is take a really short stint right at the end with very little fuel and just go for an absolute
yeah,
blast and pop in some quali laps.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's hard to tell right now how much fuel is on board that car.
But I mean, look at this. Compared to the McLaren, I mean, you can there's a night and day difference in terms of the handling. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously, it's a lot to do with the setup as well. It's a lot to do with fuel load as well.
for
But
sure.
just from first glance, it seems a more compliant car
Yeah,
to drive.
the car just looks like it's doing what the driver wants it to do. So, yeah, it looks
Yeah.
like an absolute joy here to drive today. So, yeah,
Do you think they're going to be um a smaller amount of people choosing the McLaren next season? Maybe that'll be something that
possible.
after this race people might think about. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I could see several more drivers going towards the BMWs and the Lamborghinis because for sure the McLaren is not a pay to win car anymore. It
Mm.
because the balance of performance and the recent updates have made it tricky to drive. When you drive it on the limit, it is a very, very good car, and
Mm.
it is absolutely beautiful, and you can get a lot of pace out of it. But the problem is, then you're driving right on a knife edge, and it can punish you so quickly. So that I
Yeah.
think is what a lot of the drivers find it very difficult to drive that car.
Yeah. I think it's I think it's more of a compromise also between low fuel balance and high fuel balance. Like Shanae said, I think the McLaren struggles to uh, keep it on a track with a full tank
Definitely.
of fuel, I guess, and that's something that drivers will have to think about next season. Do you want to sacrifice a bit of quality so that you can have a bit more confidence in the race?
Definitely, definitely. It's something that the Audi is a quali master, but when you get into these longer stints, it just eats
Hmm.
up tires. And maybe
Hmm.
the McLaren is going to be then in that same kind of class of car where, yeah, it's great in quali, but it's you've got to compromise it so much for the race.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely something. It's going to be an interesting story for next season. What the different car choices are going to be. Schultz now, having caught up to darkness on the mountain, is going to want to get past. This is actually for position, so Schultz is going to want to do this as quickly as he can, but darkness does not have to get out of the way. This is not a blue flag situation.
Right in the middle of the track, that Aston Martin
Oh
making the car
yeah,
as
he's
wide as possible.
parked it right in the middle. Ooh, contact before the kick.
There he goes.
That
There.
is,
Oh,
yeah, that's interesting.
yeah.
But Schultz knew what he was doing, And nailed that around
Yeah,
the
just pushed
outside.
the Aston Martin a bit off of the line and allowed that overtake to happen. But that's hard racing. But I think that's fair racing as well. I think
For
it
sure.
was nothing too aggressive. I feel.
No, exactly. And I think both drivers have come away perfectly fine after that. So, yeah, no problems caused. And both can carry on their way. I think that was always going to happen anyway. It looks like there's a little bit of damage on that Aston Martin, so that top speed is just not going to quite be there. The aero over that car is not going to be as nice and clean as a perfectly repaired car. Let's take a look once again at Pranzo, another McLaren driver here, but doesn't seem to be, well, had a few problems, I suppose, during this race. Let's just take a look at how the car seems to be handling at the moment. Trying to catch Koenig, both, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, both drivers have already completed their mandatory pit stop, so they don't have to stop for the rest of this race. They probably will need to stop for fuel and potentially even tires. It would be a very, very long way to go on one set of tires from this point. Ooh, little touch on the wall.
Again, you can see how understeady that
Oof.
McLaren is.
Yeah, it just
And
does
again,
not want to get the nose in.
off in the grass. Yeah.
So while Pranzo is that little bit quicker than Koenig ahead, because Koenig's driving that BMW, he'll probably be a bit more consistent. And consistency is going to be key here. Interesting to see now that Crossland has got ahead of Ruiz. Ruiz actually has fallen into a nice little rhythm behind the Mercedes and is actually sticking
Yeah.
pretty close. And Ferrari man now looks like he's getting a really good flow. And in fact, catching Crossland on this particular lap. Again, Ruiz is still going to need to make that mandatory pit, but Crossland probably still will need to pit again as well. So This may not be for final position, but still an interesting little battle here all the same. These guys tend to meet on track quite often.
This is a good battle brewing up.
This is gonna be tasty. It's going to be interesting how long it lasts, because now
Yeah.
we're getting down into the final 70 minutes of this race. We're definitely within range of scheduled one-stoppers, which we should start to see coming in soon, unless they're going to majorly overcut. But definitely it shouldn't be too long before they're coming in. Pranzo right on the bumper of Koenig. Let's go on board now. Look at how much that BMW bumper and rear wing is now filling the windscreen of Pranzo. I think he's going to go for a move here.
I think he is. Pulls out to the right hand
Down the
side and
inside. No, no! Oh my goodness! Oh, that could have been a complete plane crash. Koenig's going to try and fight it back around the outside. He does. Ooh, little touch of the grass, though, that upsets the car. So he can't quite get back on the power early enough. They need to let Arct through here, who is blue flagging them. Oh! Beautiful tactics from Koenig, using the blue flag car as a pick to get back past Pranzo there. We see this quite often in multi-class racing, where the faster cars will use slower cars as a pick. It's called to get past. There's a new term that I learned. That's why I'm going to use it lots. And that's how they can force a lot of overtakes. Very interesting, as Pranzo was stuck behind Arct and couldn't get on the throttle early enough, Koenig just said, hello, thank you, I'll boot the throttle and I'll get past you. So, oh, beautiful, beautiful tactics from Koenig.
that was some good racecraft. That was some good racecraft,
Sure.
I must say.
And I got to show off my racing knowledge about my new term that I learned.
It's a win-win.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think the one person who will not be happy about this is Pranzo. I'm
No.
pretty sure, because I think it took a lot of laps for him to build up that consistency and get to the bumper of Koenig, and then it happens again. But here we go again. Here we go again.
Yeah, he had the move done, and he had it absolutely sorted, and then it just so happens Arct was right there at that particular moment, and yep, he is back in P7, but I think he's going to have another go here. Maybe a little bit too far back, but that slipstream is powerful, and he's catching. He could try around the outside this time. Yeah, I think it's probably a little too far back here, but we've seen people send it from further. And he gets it all stopped just about. So this battle is going to continue for a little bit longer.
And I think Koenig's doing a very good job of making that BMW as wide as possible. And that, again, just speaks to his racecraft, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You know, perfectly within limits, you know, and perfectly defending exactly as he needs to. He knows where to place that car. So, yep, it's going to be a good, interesting one here.
I mean, I'm riding on board with Pranzo, and I can just see how much steering lock he has to apply to just even get the car to turn in. I mean, it must be a difficult race. It must be a difficult race
Yeah, and that
for
is.
Pranzo to,
See, that's
to
going to
go
be
into.
very interesting. It's going to be at the point now. The guys have been driving for 54 minutes already, and there's still another 66 minutes to go. And when is tiredness going to kick in, do you think?
I think it already has, and for some of these drivers that are trying to battle other people on track and their cars as well, I think that fatigue has, I think, already kicked in for them. And the only problem is there's a very thin line between fatigue and then frustration.
For sure.
And when both of them come together, I think that becomes a bit tricky.
And we could see some pretty big mistakes being made there. So definitely still a lot of interesting things to come in this race. But for now, Pranzo still stuck behind on this lap.
Oscar took a lot of curb.
He
Corin took a
did.
lot of curb there. He did, and then again we see, but just how settled the BMW was
Yeah, it
after
just
that.
seemed to take it. Ooh, he's wide there though onto the grass. That's going to hurt his
Oh,
acceleration a little. That might just let Pranzo win. But he's not close enough to punish that mistake.
no,
He
yeah.
would have needed to be right on his bumper to be able to punish that one.
He's slipstreaming the BMW beautifully, but I don't think he's close enough to make a move into
That
this
would be
corner.
brave to send it from there, and he doesn't have it quite just yet. Oh, but he's got a good drive here. Oh, but again, it's very
Again,
brave
yeah.
to send it down the inside into these corners.
And again, that BMW is placing itself perfectly on the track, making
Yeah,
that car as wide as possible.
yeah,
And yeah, it's going to be a tough afternoon for Brando, I feel,
I
the
think
way it's
so.
going.
Koenig just seems to have installed the 10-meter wide rear bumper. And yeah, it's a very difficult car to overtake here. Oh, but he makes a
Oh, it
mistake
goes by.
coming
Oh,
down the hill, and that is
yeah.
enough then for Pranzo to make the leap past. So, yeah, after such an amazing defense, we were saying there, about the mistakes are going to start creeping in, and yeah, that was just enough there. I think
Yeah, I
probably.
think that was the first example of how I think the drivers are now getting a bit tired and maybe losing a bit of concentration there.
Yeah, yep. Exactly, exactly. And we've just heard from Kevin. Oh, Kevin. Yeah, absolutely got it, mate. And again, this would have been a good opportunity to get that win this season. But yeah, hopefully season 13 is your season, my friend, and we see you back on track then. And good luck with getting the internet back. I've heard a lot of people having a lot of outages. So hopefully that gets repaired soon. Kevin Riviera, just a couple of unlucky moments this season, and the wins just slipped out of his hands a few times, and then landed in Ferlinski's lap. Ferlinski,
Yeah.
as we say, he's a brilliant driver, but he's had luck go his way this season a few times as well. I think the championship was always going to go to him because he
Hmm.
is a good driver, and he was always going to be scoring great points. But to have dominated with so many wins, a little bit of
Hmm.
luck was needed for that to happen. That's what, that's racing sometimes. Sometimes
Yeah.
luck does come into it.
I mean, fortune favors the brave. So Polinski's shown that, at
There
least
you
today,
go. There
in
you go.
terms of that qualifying lap. It was
Mhm.
completely blistering to get the pole
Oh,
position.
wow. That was beautiful to behold there today. At least we got to see that absolutely wonderful qualifying lap before it all went
Yeah.
wrong in the race. And here we go. I think this is then going to be the first of the scheduled pit stops. Car 724 making his way into the pits. And this certainly is well within range of being able to do the one stop. So let's keep an eye on how he gets on. If he can keep it consistent, he could get back past the likes of Schulze, Pranzo, and Koenig as they have to box again. But let's see. Down to P7 for the moment. And that does then release Pranzo. He's got a good amount of free air now. I wonder how much fuel is in that McLaren to keep going. When is he going to need to stop again? That's going to be the ultimate
That would be an
question.
interesting question. Yeah, that is true.
Definitely. I wish there was a way to see fuel, but unfortunately it doesn't show up in any of the HUDs, which is unfortunate.
But I think with a fuel with a full tank of fuel, you on this track maybe 30 laps.
Yeah,
30 laps should be that.
I think that
should
should
be
be
the limit, I guess.
reasonable. Yeah, so yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. It might depend on car as well. The cars all are quite well balanced and how far they can go on a tank of fuel. But it's going to depend on driver and fuel saving ability and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, what do you do? Do you drive a little slower and see a fuel, or do you go flat out and stop again for fuel? It's tricky to know exactly what to do. Ben Fuller then is the next one to enter the pits, coming in from P3. So car 970 enters the pits and leaves again. So Mr. Fuller back out in P4. So he has now served his stop and is ahead of Pranzo and Koenig. So Fuller could be on potentially for a podium here, which would be an absolutely incredible result for car 970. Usually he is battling for P15, so this is an amazing
Koenig is
drive.
in as well. Koenig is in as well into the pits. I think.
Oh, so yeah. I wonder, did Koenig just take a little dash of fuel in his last pit stop there? And this is now his scheduled pit stop. Looks like he might want to do.
Where does that put him when he comes out?
That is the ultimate question. He's got a little bit of damage there too, so I wonder, is he going to repair a little bit of that as well? How close is car 724? Car 724 coming around the final corner, so Koenig might drop to P9 here. He does.
But I think he'll make those places up, I feel, as the race progresses, because that BMW does have the pace,
Yeah,
so
he does.
Challenge.
It's going to be one of those epic recovery drives, but yeah, he's got the pace to be able to catch up quite a bit. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he progresses here. And now our race leader, Voller, then decides to jump into the pit lane.
Now this will be interesting. P1 and P2, both of them are, on that on that one-stop strategy, which seems like the fastest one.
That would be my assumption as well. Car number 88.
And as we see, yeah, it was exactly on lap 30, I guess. So yeah, 30 laps of fuel.
Yeah,
I feel
30 laps of fuel.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yep. And Arced now does take the lead of the race. He will have to give up the lead when he makes his pit stop. So Arced, at the very least, is going to go for one additional lap. He's got a little bit of damage on the front of that BMW. I wonder, is he going to repair that or not?
I mean, as as long as it's not affecting the lap times too much, I think I don't think it'd
Yeah.
be something that I want to spend time on, given
No.
how close the top three have been in this race. I think you wouldn't want to give your competition the edge when it's not required per se.
No, for sure, unless it is really, like suspension damage, aero
Mm,
damage, I
that's
think you can get away with a little bit. But then again, if he gets involved in a battle and he's got aero damage, then his top speed's going to be affected. So yeah,
mm,
it's one of those things. It's going to be a tricky tactical decision to make.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. It is a game of fine margins at the end of the day, and I think
for sure.
we'll only know if the gamble pays off once it pays off. So
Precisely. Ruiz then next to pit. And
Art is on the backstage. I think they'll be coming in. I think they have to come in now. I think
yeah, surely he's going to be running on fumes at the moment. There can't be much fuel left in that car right now. Again, unless he has been fuel saving, but I think that's unlikely. Looks like he's been pushing for most of this race. Let's see what
exactly.
he
Yeah. The
chooses to
last
do.
lap was a 2
And
minutes.
he
Yeah, into the pit.
does. Yep.
Into the pit. After into the pit. Yeah.
So that does look like a pretty normal scheduled pit stop there from
Mm.
Art. As our
Now the question is, does Bowler come out ahead? I think he will. Yeah, he does.
yeah, he had enough
Yeah.
of an advantage there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah.
yep, for sure. And yeah, no major mistakes or anything on his outlap. It looks like a pretty solid outlap. I mean, Voler's got no pressure right now. He can relax pretty well.
Schulze is P3, but I don't think he's gonna come out ahead because he was quite a bit behind anyway. So I think Ark's gonna maintain P2
I
by the
think you're
time
right. Yeah, so
the pit stop's
Schultz,
done. Yeah.
Schultz has got quite a job on his hands here. He's got a nice bit of a gap to be Fuller behind if
Mm.
Schultz does have to make a second stop, which
I
is
think.
highly
Yeah. I think.
likely
Yeah. Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
I
You
think
have to.
he was one of the ones that pitted. I think with 15 minutes into the race, so that
Now
was
this is
for
going to be
sure
close.
too
This is going
early.
to be close with
It is.
P2 or Schulze. Does he get? I don't think. Yeah, I think he'll. I think he'll get out.
Ooh,
Yeah, he does. He does. Done. Yep. A 2:47.90. The last lap.
wow. Good lap there by Schultz.
Yeah.
So
The number 88 BMW just out of the pits.
yeah, so Arct is going to be now in P3, but very close
I think
behind
it's a net
Schultz.
P2. Yeah, yeah. I
It
think it's a
is
net
for
P2
sure,
if you think about it. Yeah.
definitely. Unless Schultz is able to absolutely put in some blistering lap times, which in all
Yeah, and
fairness,
fill that
he's
gap. Yeah.
doing okay,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it's going to be too much to overcome the
Yeah,
gap
I
to
mean, if we
Arct here.
just look at the last laps between them, I think Arc was about a second quicker.
Yep, yep,
So I mean, but it could also be a thing where maybe Schulze was fuel saving. Who knows? Maybe that's why,
yeah,
and maybe now is the time to go faster.
exactly.
A lot to think about. I think there's a lot of strategy going on. Sorry.
I think taking a look at Arct's car, he did fix the damage. Yeah,
Hmm.
he did. So that BMW is going to be feeling better. So, ooh, but then almost immediately slumps
Ah.
into the wall. You don't want to do that.
Oh.
Your guys have just given you a nice shiny new paint job, and you don't want to scratch it up again. So
Yeah, I think
yeah,
they picked up damage again. Yeah.
I wonder, how much of an effect will that have on his lap times? Is he going to be able to pick up the pace here? And then definitely hold on to that net P2. There's only one way to
Yeah.
find out.
Yeah, I mean, luckily for Arc, I think the damage is not anywhere towards the splitter. So I think that is
Yes,
one of the biggest aerodynamic, appendages on a car.
for sure.
A damage there is something that is really, really troublesome. I think they've gotten away with this one.
definitely it looked like a bit of a side swipe on the
Yeah.
wall. So yeah, that should be rather forgiving. Ooh, Schulze with a 2-minute 3.1. So Schulze really is absolutely pushing. So it's not
Let's see
over
what Art
yet.
can do this lap. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can they respond? I think there's a lot of pace in the car and a lot of pace in the driver as well. But they also but this also coming up towards a bit of traffic. I don't think they'll catch it on this lap. But
He might just be getting the car and tires up to temperature, and then he will catch him. So it's going to be a matter, I think, of where he catches him.
yeah, you don't want it in this part of the track.
Yeah.
Because that really unsettles your car and also, takes a chunk out of your lap time. But I think he's catching him at the bottom of the hill, which is fine, which is good.
That might actually be perfect.
Yeah.
Pranzo now into the pits as well. So that is Pranzo's second stop of this race. So that is confirmed that at least one person is definitely doing 2 stops.
Exactly.
But we do
But
know
don't you think
that...
it's a bit too early again for the 2-stopper? I think they could have pushed it a bit more to have a lighter car towards the end. I think this is not going to make much of a difference.
No, I think that
because that's again 27 laps, 3 laps. Yeah, 3 laps.
Because you're not
less
going to
fuel,
have that advantage over the one stoppers that you would have needed to have to catch up all that time loss. So yeah, maybe a little bit of a tactical error there from Pranzo. You know, but yep, it might very well be that was all the calculations he could do in his head while he was out there racing.
And
so it can be.
And also trying to handle that McLaren. I mean, I know that I'm beating up on the McLaren too much, but I mean, it's it's really
it's such a diva at this track. You know, so yeah, trying to think about all that kind of stuff while wrestling that car. Yeah, it's a particularly tricky challenge.
I think if you're looking at a well executed 2-stopper, I think somewhere around 35 minutes to go, 30 minutes to go, maybe.
Yeah, I think that would be.
That would be the right time. That would be the right time because you have I think at least 10 laps, 10 laps of fuel that is not in your car.
Yeah.
And that would have that weight advantage, I think, or that terms of, and then you know how then the new tires might also work.
Oh yeah.
With a low, like a lower fuel setup. So Arc did a 2:02.945, so that is marginally faster than Schulze. But again, an 8.8, 8.7 second gap. When you know the P2 has to pit, I think it's a good place to be in. I think if you're looking
for sure
to finish the afternoon on the podium. So
the question is, I wonder, you know, is Arc pushing hard to try to catch Schulze, thinking, oh, the gap is quite small, without realizing Schulze is going to have to pit again? You know, is that going to cause a mistake? You know, what we don't want to see here is Arc give a mistake, because right now he is net P2. That number 5 does definitely have to pit again. But we don't want to see a mistake from Arc, because that then could just throw away that net P2. But for now, he's
doing a really good job, because if I'm not wrong, they did not take part in the practice session as well. I think they joined right before qualifying.
Yeah, so
you know, without any proper testing, he's done pretty well.
He's done a brilliant job.
But you know, again, maybe that's why a few of the mistakes are creeping in, because you're not that tuned in to the track. But I think, you know, 1 hour into the race and quality, again, that is too long. But yeah, again, you know, 1 hour into the race and like 12 minutes of quali, I think they should be
pretty impressive.
There and thereabouts in terms of again. But again, you have to give them the credit, because they did not take part in practice at all. So
definitely.
They don't have that setup knowledge, at least, or that
Oh,
Ooh.
sorry to cut across you there. He
Oh,
just touched
no,
the
come on.
inside curve, and
That
I
was a pretty hard whack.
yeah, I wonder was
Yeah.
part of that a little bit of lag though. It looked like
Yeah.
we had a little bit of lag that caused the car to jump over. So hopefully it's not as bad actually in his car,
Yeah.
but certainly quite a bit of visual damage on that BMW. Let's keep an
Yeah.
eye on uh
They've
that
not
pace.
lost that much time
No,
to P2 because they were 8.7 behind, and now after the incident, they're 9. So it's like 3 tenths. Not too
yeah,
much. It's not that bad.
no, it's
Yeah.
reasonable enough. And it doesn't look like the steering wheel is sitting at a weird angle or anything. So
Yeah.
hopefully no
That's
suspension
good. That's
damage.
good.
So
Yeah. That's good then.
Art should be able to continue without any problems.
I think right now the best thing that they can do is not worry about P2
Yeah,
because yeah, obviously like we said, they might not know that they have to pit again. So,
yeah,
but still, I think yeah, they've lost three tenths the lap. So I think it's not that bad. I think that stunt was just looked bad because of the lag. I guess
I
it
think
wasn't
so.
that bad. Yeah, yeah, it
Yep,
didn't take
yep,
too much time away.
I think so.
Yeah, 2 tenths, 2.5 tenths. I think that's not that bad.
So there is confirmation of every driver has served
Yeah,
their mandatory pit stop. So no one will be disqualified for not pitting this race. Now, the only thing to worry about is, do you have enough fuel to be able to make it to the end of
yeah.
the race? And that
I think
is,
a lot of drivers. I think at least half of this grid is
yeah,
going for a two-stop up. And
yep,
something we discussed I know at the start of the race, it's not the ideal strategy, but I think given how this race has panned out, I think it might just be a gamble that pays off
for
for
sure. I
some
think
of them.
our two stoppers are still gonna, get a good result here.
Yeah,
Maybe by fixing early damage, then it hasn't snowballed into severe damage because the
yeah,
car's hard to handle, and so you make further mistakes. Whereas if you fix that early damage, then the car feels great, and you don't make that snowballing mistake.
yeah,
I mean, at the end of the day, those guys are still on the track here, and they're still eligible for points at the end of the day. So,
yes.
and that's what it's all about. Especially with this being a double point round that is going to
Hmm.
create absolutely massive jumps up the table for
Yeah.
those that are still running.
And I think that's why I think a few of the drivers are willing to experiment in terms of strategy as well, because if it then pays off, it pays off big.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Why not? Why not go for a little bit of a strange strategy and see what
yeah.
happens? Yep, yep.
So a better lap this time. It was a 2.712. So they're going quick. That's fast.
So definitely he is pushing. In fact, that is his best
Yeah,
lap of the race so far, and it's not far off the leaders either. In fact, last lap he
yeah.
was the fastest driver. So yeah, Arc really is pushing
And
to
he's
the absolute
taking
best of his ability.
around 2 tenths out of fuels per lap,
Yeah,
which is a good margin. That's a good margin, though, chip away at. Given that we at least know that Schultz
yeah.
will have to come into the pits once again. So what about the leader then?
Yeah, let's take a look then at
Mm,
car number 12. Um, it looks pretty chill in the
yeah,
cockpit
decent
of
pick.
that
Yeah.
Lamborghini. Let's go on board, actually, see what it looks like from inside. And yeah, coming up
Looking pretty good.
to lap driver. That is Mr. Fuller ahead. And yeah, just looking pretty chill. Fuller has just got everything in control here today. He's just keeping nice and relaxed, not putting a foot wrong. Yeah,
Yeah.
as we say, that's it's the one who makes the fewest mistakes here that tends to do well.
Yeah, like I said before, consistency is key on this track. And I think
Yeah,
Bowler has been that driver who's, not run into too many incidents, has been doing his own race, and that's, I think, paying the dividends as we can see.
I think so.
Yeah. But the question is, can they keep this up for another 41 minutes? Because
That's
now 41 minutes is not a lot of time, but you have to consider that they've been driving for the past 1 hour, 20 minutes now. So
yeah.
can they keep this amount of consistency up? Because you often see, at this stage of the race, when mentally you know that you're almost done, but you keep making those small calculations, I think subconsciously that, oh, it's so many more laps maybe, or I have to do this so much, these many times more. And that can sometimes, break your concentration.
For sure.
Yeah.
And then that's it. As soon as you mentally check out, that's when the
Yeah.
mistakes can creep in. So, yeah, I think really Fuller's challenge right now is himself. It's all going to
Yeah.
be about making sure that he can keep in that rhythm and not let anything disturb it. Yep.
Yeah. Because if I'm not wrong, P2 is like 60 seconds behind. So I think it's not,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that menacing at the point in terms of the competition that he has to face. And as you said, I think his biggest challenge would be battling himself mentally, I guess.
Yep.
Oh, there's a yellow flag somewhere on the top.
Oh. Let's take a look. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's car 724. Up at the mountain. It's as the hill transitions back down again. Let's see if we can go back
Ah,
60 seconds to see what happened. So car 724 coming up the hill. And it looks like it's going to be a completely unforced error. No driver around.
yeah. Is it that curb again?
It must be. We're coming up to the high speed left. Car comes up over the top, and yeah. It just went all
Ah,
wrong. Car went
oh,
sideways, and that was all she wrote.
that would be
So
a lot of damage. I think that's retirement territory. No, what do you think?
I think that's got to be terminal for sure.
Yeah.
The speed you come off that corner, you're coming off there at well over 100 kilometers per hour. So by the time you hit that wall, there's a
Mm,
lot of energy in the car when you hit that. So
yeah.
yeah, that's really
Yeah.
unfortunate for Sachin. And the question, I suppose, is can he get enough repairs done in enough time to get to 90% completion? A P9 would be a pretty good result for him, and it would
Mm,
be really, really disappointing to retire with 38 minutes to go. So he's in the pits now. It's going to be an awful long pit stop, but let's see if he can get back out
yeah.
on track.
And in terms of the battle for P2 now, I think this Arc has taken a second out of Children.
Wow.
1 second, yeah.
Yeah, Schultzen
Rapid.
now racing in the 204s. Arc still in the 202s. In fact, Arc just seems to be going quicker every lap. And
Yeah.
as we can see, it's getting a little bit darker out there as well. At the very least, the drivers have their headlights on now. Not sure if that's going to have much of an effect on
Yeah,
their
I don't think so. I don't
braking
think so, yeah.
references. It doesn't seem too dark, so I think they'll be able to handle it okay. But
And Arc
yeah,
goes faster
Arc
again.
faster again.
Marginally, but faster again. Pushing.
Maybe he is.
And then like 9 laps into the stint, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah,
So I think the BMW also has a good fuel economy because if they're able to push and they're comfortable in that sense.
for sure. He's
So
certainly not fuel saving anyway.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
he's got
exactly.
to be going absolutely flat out to the end. So yeah,
I think my very first prediction for season 13, I think right now, has to be that I don't think we're going to see any McLarens. I think we'll just see a field full of Lambos and BMW.
I think
The
that,
way this is shaping
yeah,
up.
with the way trends tend to go, yep. A lot of
Yeah.
drivers take a look at who won the previous seasons and
Hmm.
what cars tend to be the best, and yeah, the BMWs and Lambos here just look like they're just fully planted, and it's
Yeah.
going to be a
But do you
tricky
think that's
calendar
always
next
the
season.
case? Yeah. No, but do you think that's always the case? That if because I think I am guilty of making the mistake sometimes. Looking at a car that has been doing well in the hands of a certain driver, and then when I get into it, it feels good to drive, but that does not necessarily guarantee results. And then sometimes it's the trickier cars that actually have a lot of pace potential. It's just about the right way of driving them.
Yep.
I think that's where someone like Felinski, I mean, I know it was a difficult end to their race, but I think throughout the season they've, I think, pretty much shown that um, they know how to drive that car.
Yeah, Ferlinski though is a very adaptable driver. We've seen that
Mm,
throughout his career here. Winning Formula One in season three, going
mm,
on to then get Dirt Rally, which is a completely different discipline. And taking
yeah.
that championship, and then to take the GT3 championship twice. He has got a very, very high level of adaptability. So I think that's why he's able to get into a car, even that might be more difficult to drive, and still
Mm,
be able to do very well. But yeah, you're right. We've seen some drivers where they make the mistake of, looking at, oh, that person drove that car to the win, so I'll take that car.
mm,
It happened an awful lot before BOP came in, where everyone would just say, "Oh, the McLaren is the fastest, so they drive it."
mm.
But it's not necessarily. It depends on your personal driving style.
Exactly.
And what kind of level of pace you're at as well. You might actually be able to extract a bit more pace out of a BMW if you can drive more confidently. And a lot
Mm,
of the time, whenever you're in around there, maybe between 1 to about 4 seconds off the pole
mm,
time, confidence is so much of the battle. And it really, a car choice can really matter in that, and you're better going for a car where you're more confident rather than what has ultimate pace. And as
mm.
well,
That is
really, at the end of the day, the balance of performance should even out all of that ultimate performance too. It won't necessarily.
yeah.
It's certainly not perfect, but it does a reasonable job at it. So, yeah, for sure, I think it's something that we always try to advise drivers. Pick a car that you're really comfortable with. As Ark makes his way back past Schulze, who does pit for the second time. So it's going to be interesting to see how Schulze can get on with this last 33 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be interesting, to see what kind of car choices are made next season. Based on what has happened this season. Jakob, just mentioning, was running 2 minute 3.5s until the server did the die.
Mm,
Spinner, that is so unfortunate. That is an absolutely brilliant lap time from Mr. Spinner. Would have been up there. That is around about the same kind of pace as, well, really, actually, that it would be second on pace right now because
yeah.
the Lamborghinis are in the fours. So, yep, interesting. But yeah, that is really unfortunate. Mr. Spinner has had several connections issues this season. That's
Mm,
ultimately the problem, isn't it? With sim racing, we can't get engine
yeah.
failures, but we can get internet failures, unfortunately,
Yeah.
that can take us out of the race. So, yep, it's one of those things.
So if I'm not wrong, Schulze has somewhere around 56 seconds to make. if they want P2.
Yeah, it's
That might just be a tall order. Even with, just quali lap after quali lap, I think that would be a bit difficult to achieve. What
yeah.
do you think?
I think that's
What do you
going to
think?
require a mistake from Arc.
Mm.
There's no way
And you
to do
can't rule
that
that out
naturally.
now. And you can't, yeah. And you can't rule mistakes out. And also, like you say,
For sure,
a
no,
little
you
bit of
can't.
lag here and there.
Yep. I think Arct might relax a little bit now, and it looks
Mm.
like he is. His pace has dropped a little,
Mm.
because he's realized, P2 has actually
Yeah,
pitted. So
exactly.
the mistake level might drop down a little, but yeah, at the end of the day, you can never rule a mistake out. They can creep in anytime, because these guys have been going for 90 minutes already, and there's still 30 minutes to go. So
Yeah.
it's a really really tough game out there, and anything can
Yeah.
happen. Anything can happen.
And like we even see these endurance races in real life, I think stints are 2.5 hours long, but something that people don't understand why it is a bit more difficult to keep your concentration in sim racing is because there's so much more that your mind is trying to comprehend because that there's only so much information you can get out of your wheel and out of your screen. So there's a lot more computing happening in your mind to see where you're on track and how you need to place the car and everything. And I think that makes it a bit more difficult and a bit more tedious on the mind when you're sim racing.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. And do you think as well that the adrenaline of basically if something goes wrong, I'm going to hurt myself in a real
Yeah,
race car, does that help a little too, do you think?
100%. Because that I think that survival instinct that human beings have at the end of the day, I think that keeps you on your toes. But I don't think that is as much prevalent in sim racing. And I think if I'm remembering correctly, when I was watching the iRacing 24 Hours of Daytona, I think it was Max Verstappen's Team Redline, and one of the drivers said this, that it becomes a bit more difficult to make lesser mistakes because your mind isn't giving you those boundaries, right? Because like racing,
Yeah.
like any other discipline, is about being on the edge.
Yep.
And when you're in a real car, your mind is constantly reminding you of that.
Yes.
And something that doesn't happen in sim racing is that sometimes maybe it's okay. I'll break 50 meters
Yes.
a bit too late, but it turns out to be a lockup. And like we saw, I think I think started with CrossFit, right? That's what happened at the start of the race, and that's why
For
they've
sure.
tumbled down the order.
Yeah. So it is.
And I think that just amplifies the more you get into the race, because now, like you said, it's been 90 minutes already. So with the final 30 minutes to go, I think it's all about keeping your wits about yourself.
For sure, and it is getting that little bit darker here as well. So we said that
Exactly.
it might not affect the drivers too much, but time has moved on a little, and it is just getting that little
Yeah.
bit darker, and it just makes that little bit harder to spot your braking points. And again, if it's harder to spot your braking points, the brain can sometimes just end up missing it, and
Yeah.
then you end up braking where you should have braked at 150, and you see 50 and think, oh no.
Oh yeah.
I may have braked a
Yeah,
little too late.
that just brings back a few bad memories, Andrew.
Yes, yes. I don't know what you mean. I've never done that before.
I mean, I can tell you honestly, I've done that so many times,
Yes.
and that sinking feeling when you realize, okay, that now there's no way
Yep.
that I am stopping,
Yep.
and the only way I'm stopping is when I meet the
Yes.
famous Barry R.
Barry R. Yes. Well, Barry R. always
Yeah.
stops you. He's very nice like that. He always stops you. But
But he's like
unfortunately,
a tax man, no? He takes something.
yes, yes.
Basically, he's like a tax man.
He stops you, but he takes off an awful lot of damage.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he removes your front wing generally.
I mean, yeah, man. On the F1 games, I realized. I mean, at least F1 24. I think I think why I prefer sim racing titles like ACC more is because I think the damage model is a bit more realistic. I mean, like we saw, I think with Arc also, it was a pretty hefty whack into the barriers.
Yeah,
But I think it did not do any unreasonable amount of damage in terms of the bodywork. But when you look at the F1 games, I mean, I know that Formula One cars in real life also tend to be a bit more fragile.
of course.
But but I think the damage model in ACC is, I think, one of the best out there right now.
For sure, I would second that as well, and it's going to be interesting to see if that carries into Evo.
Yeah,
If
I really hope so it does. Yeah.
yeah, same. I have a lot of confidence. Ooh, as Koenig, while chasing Crossland, makes a little bit of a mistake there,
Mm,
runs across the grass. So as we mentioned about mistakes, they can start to creep in. Yeah, I have a lot of confidence that Kunos will be able to carry it
mm.
into the latest iteration of the game. So yeah, we just gotta keep an eye on it, and yep, it's looking good for sure. And I
Mm.
think it's great for the sim racing community. To see a game like that come out. Although it is in early access, I think it's looking like it's good news at the moment.
Yes.
And I certainly will be supporting them through this early access kind of phase.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, because
and
I think the
seeing as
developers
it goes.
have shown, like, there's a pretty documented track record of the developers actually listening to the players, and I think, oh, there was a moment there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they have listened to the drivers, and that's something that's very important. I think a lot of developers don't do that. I think, unfortunately, Codemasters is probably a developer that needs to take a leaf out of, his book.
Yeah, I think that's more the publisher rather than developer, in my own personal opinion.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I think Codemasters would love to do an awful lot more than they can do. But
Mm.
yeah, don't get me started on good old
Yeah.
EA. Yes, EA, I'm on the
Yeah,
internet
let's not.
saying you're terrible. Yes. Please don't copyright strike
Well,
me, EA. we need the monetization, EA. or £50 per stream. It's not that much, please. Leave us alone. Anyway, yeah, whereas as Kunos, I think they have an awful lot more control over their title, and they can then listen to the community and do what needs to be done. So
no.
for sure, I have an awful lot of confidence, that they will do what's right, and they will build Evo into the amazing game that it really does deserve to be. So
Yeah.
we got to keep an eye on it. Something we should have kept an eye on. Arct has just done a 2-minute 14.6, while Schulze has done a
Oh,
2-minute 1.9. So somewhere
now see,
in
that's what
that
we're
last
talking
lap,
about, weren't we?
yeah, somewhere in that last lap,
Exactly.
Arct has made a major mistake and lost 10 seconds. Now, the question is, how much damage has he taken as a result of that?
And they keep losing time, I think, and they keep losing time because now it's down to 35,
Yeah,
35 seconds, and it was around 60. So that's
yeah,
half a minute. That's
this is
half
the
a minute,
problem.
I believe.
This is where
Yeah.
things can start to snowball, because now he's going to start to feel the pressure.
Yeah.
It's a
And
2:04.6.
Schulze is going rapidly. I think
Yeah,
I think he's what, 4 tenths off the pole time now
he
in
is.
terms of the last lap. So
Yeah,
yeah,
in race conditions.
this
So
can get very interesting. Yeah, this can get very interesting.
we got to keep an eye on this. It's 33.2 seconds. Let's just bring up the timing board for now, so that you can see as it comes in. The drivers are a little bit spread out, so it will take a little bit of time
Mm.
to update. But yeah, Schulze to Arct,
Yeah, but last lap was a second
33.8
slower.
seconds. So, as Arct makes another mistake. So,
Oh.
another little tap of the barrier. We'll go 15 seconds back
Mm.
here. Let's just see what did happen. He's coming out of turn 2. Coming down into turn... Oh, it's just a little bit late breaking down into the hairpin
Mm.
and wall rides around the outside. Not ideal. I wonder.
I think it's also to do with the visibility, I guess. Now it's
It
coming into
really
play, I think.
is.
Yeah.
It's that kind of visibility where it really starts to trick your brain, where
Yeah.
it's that twilight kind of time of the
Yeah.
night where is that my brake marker? Is it not? And brake
Yeah.
markers
And
and
sort of
brake
think about
boards.
it, it's been 98 minutes into
Yeah,
the stint, and I think now the fatigue's also coming up. The mistakes are coming up. It's getting a bit difficult to see and judge your breaking points, and I think it's going into a grandstand finish. I feel
it
for
might do.
P2. Yeah.
31.4
So it's
seconds.
30 seconds now. The gap 31.8 to be
Yeah.
precise between P3 and P2.
So definitely, it's
This is interesting. It's very interesting.
getting spicy.
A 2.45 for Art. Let's see what
Oh,
Schulze can do.
let me just take it back a little here. Voller has just made a mistake somewhere.
Hmm.
Oh, it is a big tap in the wall. Um,
Oh,
so even a race leader who's not really under pressure right now, has made a bit of a tap on the wall. Let's just take a look at inside the car. Is the wheel doing anything weird? It doesn't look like it is. So he might have got away with that, but he's a lucky boy indeed.
yeah. But I think now few tired minds are
Yeah,
creeping in towards the barriers.
and Barry R just looks like he gets closer and closer every lap.
Yeah.
We are now getting into the thick of the night as on server it is 8:39 p.m. and darkness is now definitely closing in.
Hmm. And now the number 5 Lamborghini has taken another second out of Art.
Wow,
This is getting interesting. Very interesting.
this is gonna get spicy. I think if
Hmm.
Ark doesn't make another mistake, I think Ark will
Yeah,
hold
that's
on to
good.
it.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
definitely,
don't
definitely.
think Schulze can catch that 30 seconds, even though he's catching it at 2 seconds a lap. I think he's not got enough time left.
Yeah.
But
No, no.
we've
And also to yeah,
already seen, yeah,
mistakes, exactly
exactly.
mistakes.
So
And I think if I'm not wrong, Arc is running on
he
older
is,
tires
where
than Schulze.
Schultz is going to be running on
Yeah,
brand spanking new tires. So yeah,
exactly.
that
So
can
that's
play
also
into it as well. So
yeah,
yeah, this is all going to get spicy.
yeah.
And
Another 2 seconds. No, no. The lapping right now pretty much the same, I think.
for now, it looks like it's holding steady. But
Yeah.
Koenig, though, is catching Crossland ahead. This is the battle
Mm.
for P6 and P7. Current
Yep.
gap is at 2.2 seconds.
But as the night progresses, I think even though technically we should see the lap times go down, I think we'll see them go a tad bit up because again, I think people are going to be very tentative into their braking points and into the corners. I feel.
I think so. I would tend to agree with that.
Yeah.
Yep, the temperatures will come down a little, which should bring the tires back in the window. But yeah, tiredness I think is going to completely
Yeah.
overrule that entirely. 18 minutes to go in this race.
Yep. Keeping very tight.
Oh,
Koenig runs
Koenig!
wide. Oh,
And he was catching so much.
yeah.
He was going to be a little bit quicker than Crossland that lap, and unfortunately has just lost all of
A lot
the
of time.
progress that he's been making over the last couple of
Yeah.
laps. And yep, he's going to have to settle back in once again.
Again, I feel it's to do with the tires as well. I think now the tires are you can't push the car that much
No, they've
anymore. I think.
got to be feeling really secondhand, and they've got to be crying out in pain. Please end this stint already.
But they'll have to endure 17 more minutes of racing
Yeah,
anyway, because I don't think
they
now's the
are.
time anyone's gonna. In the pit, is there something wrong? They're in the pits. They've been in the pits for quite some time.
Yeah, I wonder,
What's going on?
is Sachin, is he just deciding not to continue, or is he still making repairs? It looks like the car is repaired, and he is
Yeah, it's
just
been a long time, no?
opted.
Since
Yeah, that's been quite a few laps now. In the
yeah.
pits there. So, yep, I imagine it's probably a retirement for car
Yeah.
724.
Unfortunate again. It was again that curve.
Yep, yep,
That notorious curve that took
yep.
the Aston Martin out of the race.
It is. It's one of those things.
Yeah. 29 seconds the gap, another second out of Ark's lead over Schulze. So
And wow, that is the fastest lap of the race at 201.685.
that's a tenth away from the pole time. This is
Wow.
amazing. This is amazing.
Phenomenal.
I mean, that Lamborghini has a lot of pace in it.
Oh,
A
yeah.
lot. Yeah. And it's giving the BMW a run for its money. It definitely is. Definitely.
It is. I think it is a pity that car number 5 did have to box so early in the race, because I think we probably would have had a good race between 12 and 5 today. They would have been very close on track and very well matched on pace. But yeah, one of those things. Oh, Koenig decides to box.
Oh, that's
So
interesting.
that is
that for
quite
damage?
late. That is
damage after running wild.
Yeah,
Could be.
it could be. I would have thought.
I mean,
it would have
the windshield looks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would have thought it
unravelable.
would have been better to continue, but maybe.
But you know, I think it's about not taking that risk, because come on, it's a nighttime. The visibility
Yeah.
is bad enough.
Yeah,
So,
again, maybe just finishing is just better, and just
Yeah.
having a fully repaired car means you're more likely to finish. So, yep. What
Yeah.
you don't want to do
But
is,
unfortunate, because they were running really well.
yeah,
They were
yeah,
running really well. Yeah, that's unfortunate again. Yeah. There's a yellow flag. Oh, it's green again. It was a yellow flag or something.
yeah. It might be for car
Yeah.
76. It looked like there's a yellow flag for something. Let's go back 60 seconds, see if we can see anything that happened.
And just look how dark it is right now.
Oh,
it's just the
yeah.
headlights. It's just
It's
the headlights now. And yeah.
gonna be super tricky out there now.
Yeah. What happens there?
Well, looking okay for now.
Yeah,
Must
look
be
good, yeah.
coming back down the hill. Maybe a small mistake or something. A little touch of the wall. Oh, yeah. It was a touch of the inside for Crossland, and it's resulted in a bit of a half spin, which is
I think it's
unfortunate.
again, not able to judge the distance to the barriers, and again the turn-in point, because it's so difficult to see anyway. And then, yeah.
So it's so easy to just catch yourself out. But the good news is, at least it wasn't that much damage. So Crossland looks like he's going to be able to continue.
Yeah,
And
so Koenig
again,
comes down in P8, so that's essentially last.
yeah,
But still, I think it's better to finish than to just
for sure. And it's still going to be a massive chunk of points there today. P8, and for those points to be doubled, that's going to be a good jump in the positions for car 787.
Definitely.
It's a good opportunity for those drivers that are making it to the end today.
Yeah.
Interesting that the gap between Schultz and Arct really has kind of stagnated a little bit there,
That
sticking
is true. That is
around
true.
that kind of 30-second mark. So Arct looks like he's kind of got back into the rhythm here, and
Yeah. Or maybe the Schultz is thinking, you know what, P3, that's a decent result on the bag, and let's not risk it
yeah,
by just
because
pushing flat
Schultz,
out every lap.
yep, Schultz is not immune to mistakes either. So yep,
Yeah,
for sure. What you don't want to do is throw away a P3 on chasing an almost impossible P2. So,
exactly.
yeah, for
And
sure. And
if there has to be mistake anyway by Arc, I think that would bring Tuesday into it anyway. So there's no reason to try to,
yeah, I
like you
agree.
said, chase an unattainable goal
Yep.
at the end of the day. If it
Uh,
has to happen, it will happen.
for sure. I think if it was a gap of around about 5 to 10 seconds, then yeah, it would be worth pushing at this point. But
Yeah,
yeah, with it being a 30-second gap, yeah,
that doesn't make sense.
it would need to be a big enough mistake that it would cause a massive time loss for Arc. So yeah, he's going to
Yeah.
be there either way. Yep, yep, yep.
But I mean, hats off to all the drivers here today because look at this. You're almost 110 minutes into your stint. You're tired, and look at this. I mean,
Still going.
it's some really good racing. It's some really quality racing. It's some really quality driving here. Hats
And,
off to them, honestly, all of them.
definitely, and it's a particularly difficult track as well for
Yeah,
the 2 hour finale because every mistake is punished so heavily here at Bathurst, whereas at the likes of to bring up Paul Ricard again,
yeah.
Paul Ricard tends to not really punish mistakes as much.
There's a lot of runoff. There's a lot of runoff, and here you just have
Yeah,
Barrier everywhere. He's everywhere.
Barrier is everywhere. Yep, exactly.
Yep.
So yeah, it's one of those things. It's interesting. Whenever you think about racing, if a driver makes a mistake, how much should they get punished?
Yeah.
There should be something whenever a driver goes wide.
Yeah.
And really, this is such an unforgiving track for a length of race that the drivers aren't used to,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
induces more mistakes. So yeah, no, definitely,
Yeah.
I agree. Everyone has done such a good job out there today. And they deserve
Has
some
has
good points.
something happened to Schulze because if you look at his onboard, there seems to be a bit of damage on the windshield.
Oh
Something
yeah,
happened.
and his last lap time is invalid. Uh, so
Mm.
he may very well have
And
tapped the wall at some
there's a
point there.
6 second delta. So yep, there has
You're
been
right.
another meeting with Mr. Barry R, I guess.
Mr. Barry R strikes
Oh,
again. So, yeah,
yep,
definitely he's got enough gap to the car behind, so he shouldn't lose out
yeah,
too much. But, yeah, he's released a little bit of the pressure. Yeah, and that bonnet looks like it's about to fly up as well. So
yeah.
definitely,
There has been crash. Yep.
I think he's taken a bit of a hit.
Oh, oh, look at the steering wheel. Look at the steering wheel. It's not straight. Oh,
Oh, let's
the
go
suspension
to
damage.
the
My
interior.
God.
You're right. So
Oh,
that Lamborghini has suffered some major damage coming into the final 8 minutes of this session. Oh, not
oh,
what you want to
come on.
see.
If he pulls this, nobody, if he pulls this off, Andrew.
Wow.
Oh, oh, come on. This is going to be tough. This is going to be
Yeah,
very tough to
yeah,
pull off. You can already see how difficult it is to handle. Obviously, it's difficult to handle. Come on, your steering wheel's not pointing the right way.
yeah.
Oh,
It's going to be extremely difficult. The tiredness is setting in. The car is
oh.
majorly damaged. Wow.
In
This
the
this is going to be.
longest 7.5
It
minutes
is going to
of
be. Yeah,
Schultz's
yeah.
life. Oh, come on. But imagine the satisfaction of pulling this off. Come on, I don't want to put the commentator's curse on this. So I will not. Let me just say, this is going to be a podium he's not going to forget.
No,
This
for
is going to be a podium
sure.
he's not going to forget. Oh, come on. Come on. I am rooting for you. I know I need to be a bit neutral, but no, come on. I'm rooting for you. Even though this might be a mess of his own making, but
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an unforced error. There was no one around him on
Yeah.
track, so yeah, definitely it
But then
was.
again, it shows, how difficult it is to
Yeah,
compete in this race. People, you know, it's unfortunate that a lot of people just write sim racing off as just another game. But come on. I mean, this just shows how difficult it is because you need to maintain a certain standard, a certain level, lap after lap after lap.
yeah,
And when the conditions change, and it's a very physics-based game at the end of the day. The tires are at a certain stage, the fuel's at a certain stage, your car is handling in a certain way, the tiredness kicking. I mean, I can't go on enough about how difficult sim racing is as a racing discipline.
for sure.
But as an
And
esports, for that matter, yeah.
if you add into that as well, this does depend on what kind of gear the driver may have, but
Hmm.
a direct drive wheel and a load cell pedal. It's driving on a load cell pedal is like doing 90-kilogram leg presses on one leg, for
Yeah,
2 hours. So, it's difficult, and a direct drive wheel, yeah, it can be really physically demanding as well. So,
yeah,
yeah, not only can it be a massive mental challenge, but a physical challenge too.
yeah,
So yeah, it is a credit to those who are able to stay out there and keep going. So, yep, every single person out there today deserves every point they get
yeah.
after this race. With
Truly.
down to
How far?
5 minutes.
How far is Fuller to Schulze? Because he's losing about 10 seconds, 9 seconds a lap
Yeah,
at this point.
I think it's probably still going to be a podium. Fuller is 1 minute behind. So
Oh,
as long
it's
as
going to be close
Schulze,
though. It's going to be close though.
it
It's going to be close
is,
though. But it's still 5 minutes left, and if he's losing 10 seconds a lap,
yeah, and he's
it's
got to
going to
be
bring Lorenzo. Yeah,
basically pushing as hard as he can with damage, and that,
suspension damage of that
yeah,
sort because that steering wheel does not look straight. I
no,
mean, come on.
and if that gets worse,
And it's almost 90
ah,
degrees off.
yeah, yeah,
It's almost 90 degrees off. And people watching this and the people who are going to watch this afterwards, that amount of correction that you need to put, if your steering wheel's bent 90 degrees the wrong way on a straight, oh,
yeah, it throws out
that's
all of
that's
your
no mean
muscle
feat.
memory.
Yeah, that's no mean feat.
All of the practice and all of the running that you've just been doing for the last 2 hours
Yeah.
all gets completely thrown out the window because everything is now
I mean, look at him,
90
Andrew.
degrees
Look at
off.
him.
Oh,
Look at him on the straight. Come on.
yeah, he's really, really struggling there. That's a 2 minute 8.9. That's still a very respectable lap time to be
Yeah.
driving with suspension damage. Um, but yeah, I think if he's able to maintain that pace and not get any worse damage, then he
Yeah.
should be able to make it in P3 here today. Um, I don't
Yeah.
think Fuller's going to be close
I
enough.
think the worst of his problems, yeah, yeah, I think the worst of his problems are on the straights because I think there's
Yeah,
a lot of scrubbing now. There's a lot of
yep,
tire scrubbing, so you're scrubbing off a lot of time,
yep.
which you would not have generally.
No,
And I
exactly.
think that's the biggest problem for him.
Yep.
Yeah,
And that could add to tire temperature and such as well, which is just gonna, everything's just gonna
exactly.
snowball here and get worse and worse and worse. So he's lucky it's so close to the end of the race, with only 3 minutes now left
Yeah.
to go. Um, in fact, it could very well come down to whether or not his teammate laps him. Right now, his teammate
Yeah.
is around about what's that, 5 seconds behind him on track.
Mm,
If
mm.
his teammate laps him, then that would be one less lap that Schultz would have to do, um,
Yeah.
and that would make it a little bit easier. Um,
Yeah. He's almost lost 5.5 seconds in this lap. I mean, also I feel that's the reason why he's gone. I think, if I'm not wrong, he's gone one notch up on traction control.
yeah, interesting. Yeah, I think that's got to be just to handle, just to
Yeah.
kind of settle the car and make it a little bit
Yeah.
easier to drive. You know.
Because one of the other misconceptions that I've seen about, GT3 is that the higher TC you run, the better it is. But it's actually not,
Not
because
necessarily.
it can take a lot out of your air tires.
Definitely. You don't want to
Yeah.
run zero because these cars are
Yeah.
designed to run with
Yeah.
traction control. But yeah, definitely you don't want to run it as high as possible either because yeah, that's can be just as
It's gonna have
bad.
a lot of tire scrubbing because
Yep.
again there'll be a lot of friction on corner exit.
Yep.
Also like grandstand finish for sure. 100%. I think there's one more lap in this one, I guess, no? After this, one more lap to endure, I guess, after this lap.
Yeah,
If I'm not wrong.
it
Yeah.
may depend on when Voller
Yeah.
actually crosses the
Yeah.
line. I mean, he's got 1 minute that he can play with. If he really wants to, he could actually make sure that the time ticks down to 0 before he does cross the line,
Mm,
because he's
mm.
got plenty of time to play with. There's no one close enough to force him to take another lap, so it could be a
So is there
tactical
gonna be
choice here.
a bit of teamwork? Yeah. Could be a
Yep,
bit of teamwork,
yep.
yeah. No? Let's see what he opts to do. But come on, hats off to him. Hats off to Schulze. What he's pulled off in the last 10 minutes
For
in this
sure.
race.
You know,
With
to
that amount of
recover
damage to him.
from severe damage early in the race and to get to P3, you know, that
Oh yeah, blue flag.
is impressive. Here we
Blue
go.
flags, I
Yeah,
think
so
yep, perfect.
he is probably just going to let his
It's
teammate
gonna be
pass.
tricky, yeah.
So he's
It'll be
got
a bit tricky
one
for him,
less
yeah.
lap to do. In fact, they might actually be
Oh,
able to get
yeah,
themselves
yeah.
a side-by-side finish across the line.
That'll be
Which
beautiful.
would
That would
be
be
absolutely beautiful. A double podium for their team with double points on the board. This is going to be a brilliant result for their team, and it's going to be a massive jump. And they are beautifully
yes.
going to go side by side here
Yeah.
across the line. We saw them battling early in the race, but today it is Voller who is going to come across the line and win here and take the final win of the season. Absolutely brilliant result there for car number 12. Congratulations. Schulze then does come home P3. So for Tradition Sim Sport, it is going to be a double podium. Arct is going to come home P2 then. Having come into this session really, really late, ends up taking away a podium there today in particularly tough conditions. I say taking away, but he actually still hasn't finished yet. But he can't lose position to anyone. And there's he makes contact with Fuller.
Come on.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. On this final lap, because Fuller is on for a good finish here. Hopefully Fuller didn't take too much damage. Arc does complete the race. Fuller is going to come around. Only has to complete one more lap, and that's going to be an amazing result for Fuller. That's a season best for the McLaren man. He's been battling down towards the bottom of the field all season, and just again, consistency is what gets results. Crosses
and again,
the line.
P4 being the highest placed McLaren in P4.
Yeah. Overall, that's a good point. I didn't actually notice that. Yeah. Fuller then does take honors as the highest possible placed McLaren there. Congratulations to Fuller. Crossland as well. Good result for the Mercedes man. Pranzo, I think, probably would be a little bit disappointed with that today in P6. Arguably should have been a bit further forward there today. But Ruiz and Koenig then rounding out the rest of the finishers. And that was a really, really tough race there today for everyone. And
there was some brilliant racing action. I mean, for this to be my first time in the commentary box with you, I think I couldn't have picked a better race to watch.
Excellent. Well, hopefully season 13 is even better. As 10 that goes around
Yeah.
here every season does just end up stacking up and getting even better as we go on. Hopefully, someone next season can use Track Titan. Hint, hint, to get a little bit faster and maybe challenge for Linsky. Who? Which car is he going to choose next season? That's going to be interesting. Is he going to go back to that Lambo? In which case, he is going to be almost unstoppable unless you use Track Titan. Use Track Titan and use our code to make sure that you get 30% off a subscription. Again, I highly recommend using Track Titan. I've personally used it for several years as well. Very, very good resource and excellent for Assetto Corsa Competizione. Sorry, got to get the advertisements in where we can. So I have been Maverick, and this has been the final round of Season 12. I hope you've really enjoyed joining us for all of this season, and you're all going to join us again for next season. Anirban, do you want to say cheerio as well?
Yep. Thank you for having me. This was amazing race, and I hope to see everyone tune in for season 13. I think it's going to be amazing the way this season has ended. I think season 13 is going to be spectacular.
I
So
think
yeah,
so.
cheerio, guys, and I hope to see you guys again very, very soon.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much, and we will see you next time.